right, kids, welcome back to another episode of Sit Crooked Talk Straight. My name is Katie Myers,
And I'm Leanne Jameson.
and we are have said that this will air after the new year. We're saying goodbye to 2024. And I pulled up, I don't know why, but like the lyrics for The Sound of Music, and like the words like,
Really?
so long, farewell, Auf Wiedersehen, goodbye, I leave and heave a sigh and say goodbye to you,
Get it, girl.
and I don't know I don't know. I have no idea where that came from. But I am very much ready to look forward into 2025 with 24 in the rearview mirror. And I use this analogy a lot with couples that I work with, that there's value in what has happened in the past, but we cannot let it be what we are constantly looking to, because we, like driving a car, not safe, not productive, not helpful. And so, as I know everyone's going to be shocked, like, spoiler alert, I'm sorry to like surprise everyone that our episode is absolutely going to be about setting goals for the new year.
We were talking about last year how it was. This still resonates of just like not like new year, new me. It's like we've always been there. It's just like getting even more true to yourself, right? So last year I think that we talked about like new year, true me. And building on that even further, because we all know that like there, it is not a secret that New Year's resolutions fail within the first couple weeks. Right? And like we're always looking at ways to strengthen them to create sustainability. And I know that there's been like a bigger shift of just like, leaving the resolutions, which I remember writing a blog about this years ago, of just like kicking resolutions to the door, like to the curb, and really looking at it from a different perspective. And this is just building upon that, right? Building upon this perspective of like, how do I want to live my life? Not like what specific goals I have, although goals are super important, right? But it's like, as I dive into, as I, explore more and more and become more in tune of like, why did that not never like resonate with me? Like looking at it from like intentions and like living your life is really more of like a divine feminine creation. Goals are necessary. Those are like more of the divine masculine. So we bring them in to have these actionable items so that we stay on track. So it gives us like the guardrails of staying on track.
Yeah.
And as I was exploring this too, right, I remember Rachel Hollis coming up in my feed. And she, of course, has a new book coming out and everything. But one of her episodes, which is in the show notes actually, is all about just like, who is your why? And it got me thinking. It's just like, that's a different, maybe not a different, completely new take on it, but just like sort of reflecting, because as you were saying, it's like we're leaving 2024 in the past but we're also recognizing the lessons that we've learned. And like I'm spending time today just like writing out all of my gratitudes and celebrations, and recognizing and calling that forward too, as we can propel into into 2025. But with Rachel Hollis, it's really looking at like, she had me, it got me thinking about like, why did I even start my business? Like, who did I start it for? Right? I started it for my daughter. I started it for my fellow women and wanting to inspire them, and give them a space to really live and explore authentically. So anyways, I thought it was a really cool topic as we're talking about this, of just, yeah, we can go into the deeper like why, because that's another aspect of it. It's like, what is your why? And who is your why is the addition to that too. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to explore that.
I love all the different potential angles, right? And I think it speaks to the fact that there is no right or wrong way to do this year-end reflection, or this year ahead intention setting, and so really, like, my encouragement for listeners is to, whatever lands for you, do that. Like, go there. If something doesn't land for you, and it's like, I don't really know, like, who in my life inspires me, or like what my why is, but I know that, like, I just see too much stuff in my house or like whatever, right? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what path you take. What matters is that you get up and start walking.
Right. Well, and I'm thinking too, like with the sustainability of being able to, again, like what that motivation is, but like how to sustain that, because we have this like fire under us, like right when we start. Typically it's like, yes, we're gonna do this, and I'm gonna, read a book, and I'm gonna, do the thing, and I'm gonna join this program, and I'm gonna start working out, and I'm gonna do this. First of all, first and foremost, what I encourage you to do is, like, again, look internally of like, why, right? Like, why does this inspire me? Just like stay in that curiosity space of just like, why is this inspiring to me? What is this telling me about, what I need, what my life needs at this moment, and why is this important to me? Who am I doing this for, right? Am I doing it for myself? Am I doing it for someone else? Because as we know, even, right, working even, within the addiction field, and then even just my own personal experience, is that like me as a person, I might not be like, I know this can go in so many different directions for me, just like based on my human design and based on like how, like, my four tendencies and all of these things. I am externally motivated, and I used to feel really bad about that. I used to be like, oh, I have no internal locus of control. I have no, like, like that whole like shaming. I should be intrinsically motivated. I should want these things. And until I was able to really like accept, like, no, like there's reasons why I choose the gyms that I do that hold me accountable, or that I join the like high ticket programs that really hold me accountable instead of the DIY programs. Like, all of that resonates with me of just like, who am I doing this for? Yes, sometimes it's myself and I need that external motivation, or I'm going to use like the inspiration of like, I want my daughter to know different, to live a different life. I want to heal generational patterns. This isn't for me, it's for someone else. And having that inspire me in the beginning to get us motivated, until we can grab, I almost think about like, just like have that traction, right? Of like this runner of just like they have this like strong get off, right? And then it's like they get their footing, and then you
Yeah.
just get into this rhythm of it. So
Well, and I love that analogy too, because there will be times when your own internal barometer is what tells you what and where and why and who, and then there will be other times when it's not. Like, I show up to the gym on some mornings. For me, I show up to the gym on most mornings because Crystal's going to be there, and I told her I would be there. And so, like, I think too, like, removing the judgment around the, like, I should be doing it for this reason, or it should look that way. I met with a friend last night, and we were talking about goals, and she was like, I want to set a goal to run 3 days a week, 15 to 20 minutes each time, and something else. And I was like, oh, I was like, do you love running? And she was like, no, I fucking hate it.
I
And I was like, I wonder what your motivation is then for this goal. And she said, because I would like to be a run. I would like to run. I would like to be a runner. I like what running does, like, health wise, and it's free and it's easy, like, right, like, you can do it anywhere. And I was like, okay. And it's funny that we had that conversation last night, and we're having this conversation this morning, because I kept peeling back and like, okay, but like, what makes you happy? And like, and what, like, would you run? Like, she has a daughter. Like, would you bring Zoe with you to go running so that she can be inspired to like have a love of physical activity and being outdoors? And so, like, if, for me, it's like, it's so many layers. It's knowing the why at times.
mm-hmm.
It's knowing the who
Mm-hmm.
at times. It's knowing yourself and knowing like what brings joy to your life and what makes you happy. Because if you have a goal that is not squarely rooted into the what, or I'm sorry, the why or the who, the what will be extremely hard to maintain.
Ooh,
It will
yes.
be extremely difficult
Like that's where you do need like a lot of discipline and like, hire a trainer and shit like that if you don't have those. I mean, we need that anyways, right? Like I love working out, I love cycling, I love doing all of these things. And I know that on days I need that external, like you said, it's like tuning into yourself without that like judgment and without the shoulds and like leaving all that behind to just say, okay, this is where I'm at. I was actually talking, of course, within my programs too, just like what are we releasing, what are we have launched into your 2025 virtual retreat, like, so getting everybody prepared for that, because it's about releasing, it's really about realigning with our goals and why those are important to us. And like, so it's somebody said, well, what if I, because we're talking about just like a lot of the women I work with, they have big visions, they have this like this internal soul, like wanting and needing to like make an impact somehow, right? And it's different for different people, it's never the same, it truly isn't. And like one woman who had just joined, actually, she was like, what if I'm just selfish? What if I just want to be happy? Like, what if I just want more joy in my life? And I was like, well, stay curious about that. Like, that's totally, because all these other women, right, are like further in the program and they're like, I want to inspire. I created this business to help heal and this and that. And like, I know she's, it's so much better. She's so engaged in the community and like all of these different boards. I'm like, she's getting scared, right? Like we get scared. Like, what if I just don't want all that responsibility and I have to change everything? But like, but allowing yourself to ask the question, right? Like,
Yeah.
okay, so what if it is just for you? What if it is?
And what's wrong with that? Like, here's the other piece,
Exactly.
right? Like, to add on to, yes, I totally see the perspective of like new in the program, she'll get there to where she's able to see, and like, there's a lot of fear driving, I think, some of that. But how many women do we also talk to who would not engage in anything because it made them happy and because that
Yes,
feels. And so, like,
absolutely.
when I hear that, I'm like, yeah, sister, like,
Right?
fuck all the rest of, like, fuck y'all. I'm gonna do this because it makes me happy. I mean, like, let's embrace that, right?
Exactly.
Because
Exactly.
that has value and benefit too. And I
Well,
love, like, bringing it back to, like, I told her, like, just stay curious, just stay curious. I think that is such like a superpower. If we can stop fucking judging everything as right or wrong, good or bad, should, shouldn't, blah, 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 like, and just got curious, one, we would live a lot happier existences and lives. And two, we would actually get some answers and some clarity, because rarely do answers come from beating yourself up and judging the shit out of yourself.
yes.
Answers and clarity come from being kind and compassionate and curious.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So being able to go back to like tying that together of like when we are kind and compassionate and curious with ourselves as to like, why is this important? Not the why is this even important to you? But like from that like judgy space, right? And being able to hold that space for yourself as you're either creating these goals or creating your intentions or whatever it is, however you identify it, it really just comes back to why is this important to you at this time, whether it's the who or the like what the underlying goal is. So being able to come back to that space, to gain clarity of the why, just like keep on asking yourself why who, like again, for the mere purpose of just making sure. And this is why it's, for me, it's not about like, like this hard, like you have to achieve your goals and let's make it sustainable, even though this is what it's about, because we know that this is where it leads. When it's authentic to you, it is sustainable in your life. Like that's what it comes down to.
And I also want to say, like, there could be the perspective of like identifying who you're doing something for as being um, lacking self-worth or lacking self-esteem or
Mm,
self-love, like really placing like, well, I'm going to the gym so that I can lose weight for my partner. Well, okay, like, let's again get curious about that, because that doesn't have to be all bad, but also isn't necessarily all inspiring or all healthy. And so again, staying in that place of, right, like being inspired. And I think like that's my word maybe no. I think I have a couple different words for
I know
2020.
I haven't figured out my words for 2025 either. I'm like, oh,
It's
all right.
so hard to pick just one. But like like being inspired. And so inspiration can come from anywhere. It can come from
Mm.
within, it can come from another human, it can come from an animal, it can come from rainbow. Like, I mean, it can come from wherever. And so, like, what inspires you? And if you're hearing that question, you're like, I don't even fucking know, because that was also part of the conversation I had last night with this beautiful mom, such a good mom and such a beautiful soul. And she's just like, I don't know myself. Like, I don't know. I started rattling off all these things. Does this sound like fun? Does that sound like fun? Does this sound like fun? Does that sound enjoyable? And she was like, I don't know. I don't know.
Oh my
I
gosh,
don't.
do you remember when we started our journey? And when you're like, I remember asking you, it's like, what brings you passion? You're like, I don't even know. I just did like what my brother did. And I did like, you know what I mean? Like we're so conditioned. And I know for me too, when that question was asked of me, I'm like, I have no clue what inspires me. Like, I know what I'm good at. I know what I thrive in, and but like, what does it inspire me? Obviously not. There was something that wasn't inspiring, or else I wouldn't be asking you know what I mean? Like, well, I would be
Yeah.
asking questions, but like I wouldn't be feeling unfulfilled, so yeah, even going back to where like it makes me think about the inspiration, so going back to like as far back as you can, right? Just like keep on just sort of reflecting, right? And that's part of like what I do in the program, of like pulling these things out of individuals, and like putting the pieces together. Where I remember one woman, she was like, what really, she's like, I remember walking out of somebody who was a inspirational speaker, and saying, I want to do that. And this has been like a part of her journey the entire time. So coming back to, I want to be an inspirational speaker. I'm like, yes, let's harness that. You're already doing that in so many different areas. So what's that next level for you, right? So that's what it is. It's really just like finding these moments throughout your life. Or like, even I can't remember. I'm trying to remember how you ended up identifying like with passion. For me, passion also equals anger. So like, it was
That's right.
for
You
me,
know what motivates you.
what really pisses you off in the world, and what do you want to see done about it, right? What is the solution for this? That's what helped me. What was it that helped you?
So I was able to go back to, it wasn't like super young, but like 13, when I saw the Oprah episode of a young teenage girl whose parents were divorced, and her relationship with her therapist, and like bringing like healing. And like that was like the moment where I was like, that everything kind of like fell into place,
Mm-hmm.
spiritually, emotionally. Um, and so yeah, because I still reflect on like my younger years, and having that feeling of like, did I really like to roller skate, or did I just do that because my brother did? I mean, I was good at it. Did I really like to? I mean, because I also got into some trouble, right? Like I was like,
Same.
oh, kind of, and so anyway, reflecting on that, now is like the best time to, even if you've reflected on it before, um, and take inventory, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what's working, what's not. If
Mm-hmm.
your life were a convenience store in 2025, what's selling, what's not, what needs to be taken off the shelves, what's been sitting there collecting dust for the last year that hasn't brought anything of value,
Uh-huh.
and you let it go.
And I'm just trying to think of like all the different ways that we can approach this, right? Of like taking inventory, tapping into what pisses you off, really looking at what inspired you, and that like those moments of like we're looking for those moments of clarity, right? And the moments that like get you excited when you start thinking about it. There was one woman I was working with who she's like, when I'm 60, I want to be hiking my ass. Like, I want to be in the best shape ever. And like, I'm like, why is that even important to you? Like what? And like peeling it back further and further and further of like, I want to be healthy because my family, hasn't always been healthy. And it's not from like a scarcity place, but it's just like, I want to be strong. Like, that's how I envision myself as a strong, like, that's her highest self, right? Is like, that's part of her highest self, is her physical just being.
Mhm.
And that's such a beautiful space to be in, to be able to understand that deeper level of why. Now, is it going to keep you on track all the time? I don't know. Like, again, that's where we waver and stuff like that, where it's like coming back to your why and who are you doing this for. Um, and then there are other, women that I've worked with where we've been doing so much out of just obligation without questioning it. And I remember going through this myself too, of just like, wait a minute, like, why am I signing up for all of these things? Is it because I want to, or why am I doing all these crafts and making sure like every single weekend is packed, or like, all of the
Mhm.
things that we're, and being able to pull back and like, does it feel good, and am I excited about it, or is it just like, does it feel like another task? Because first of all, if I'm saying like, I'm doing this for the kids so they have their experiences, that's one thing, right? That can be a motivation, if you do it with joy and ease. But if you're doing it out of anger and resentment and frustration because we feel like we need to, then that's not going to be good for anybody. Right? And that goes right back to like the, when we're creating our goals, like,
Mhm.
that might start you, but like, it's not sustainable because it then shifts into victim, it shifts into frustration, it shifts into, and when that starts happening, and maybe that's where you start, is like identifying like, where do you feel heaviest throughout the day? Where do you feel frustrated
Mhm.
throughout the day? And because we know that feeling, what's sad is that we disconnect from the passion and the joy and stuff, where, and the inspiration. But sometimes it's just, again, it's starting where you're at, and not
Mhm.
judging it for anything. So yeah, so speaking of, have you gained clarity on any of your I wish you guys could have seen Katie's like facial expression.
I so a little bit of a side note, but just very briefly. I had a year ahead spread done. I have a good friend, Christy Wild. She is on the West Coast. Known her for over 20 years. She does a tarot pull for me every year. She draws a card that's for the year and then a card for each month. And went through, and it was intense. And um, I feel like I'm getting more and more clarity all the time, which for me is enough. I don't have I don't have clarity in the sense of like a definitive clarity. I have clarity in the sense of things that are fuzzy are coming more into view.
Mm,
And um, she used some analogy yesterday that really landed, and of course now I forget, because it was very much of like seeing things through, whether it's a magnifying glass or like just glass, because I'm 41 and I started wearing readers, and fuck you all. Fuck
I
all
am
you
my
young people
I
have to wear readers now to do certain things, to read certain things and see certain things. And it was like just kind of like increasing that magnification of things. Like it just gets clearer and clearer and clearer until it starts to come more. And so, yeah, no, I don't have any more clarity than I did before. But I know my why has consistently been over the years not going backward, or like my what and my why is like, do not go backwards. We have we have come so far, and I know what it looks like
Mm,
when I get complacent and I get apathetic, and I can slide back into old behaviors. And that just for me doesn't feel like I don't want that to be an option.
mm,
So that motivates me of like, I'm not going back, I'm not going backwards. we're going this way. I can look in the rearview mirror and see a lot of lessons learned, but I'm moving forward. And so, but yeah, I mean, my son's always a big why, a big who, right? Like I do a ton because I want him to have the healthiest mom that he can have. I want him to have the best experience. I want him to, I can't sacrifice me for that, but I can let that be a motivation. Um, so yeah, what about you?
I have a clear picture of what I would like to accomplish, and the accomplishment is more of like this intrinsic, just like the what I want to put out into the world. And it's this blend of my family too. Maya is going to be starting college, and getting all of that together and going through that transition. So being able to, a lot of it has to do with like slowing down more, being way, way more intentional with like, I've been scaling back on certain things, expanding my business, which sounds like it might be contradictory of like, well, I want to spend more time with my family, but expand my business. Actually, it's the expansion of my business that allows me to spend more time and be the visionary and do more writing and, signing up for the classes and stuff like that. So, I made a commitment to myself and signed up for a course because, again, I know myself. So, having that guidance and having that connection, I've always wanted to, I've had all of these dreams of writing more. Not just the book, but, in different magazines and stuff like that. So that's what I signed up for. And being able to volunteer more and be more intentional. One of my main goals, honestly, is to like finally find a board that I want to be a part of to learn more about. Yeah, about that world. Like I've been in nonprofits, I've run nonprofits, or I've helped. I can't say I've run them. I've been part of that team, but like being part of the board has been interesting to look at too. So joining the commerce. So, anyways, I have clarity, and then it's been I've had time, which I'm super grateful for, over the past 2 weeks to really reflect a lot. Um, on where I've been, how far I've come, just emotionally, internally, spiritually. It was a big one for me. And where I want to be going to continue the work and leading with love. That's another, right? This is a movement that I'm starting. So 2025 seems pretty amazing, but also very like calm and like very grounding, right? So that's those might be my words. um What's been coming up is like this grounded radiance, right? Like so centered and like allowing the light to shine. And that goes in like every single different like area of my life. And I want to join this cycling club, which I talked to the guy yesterday about. So anyways, it's fun stuff, but it did take a lot of just like being okay, first of all, with the downtime, because as a business owner, right, you can get a little bit worried, like, oh my gosh, I should be doing this, like letting go of the shoulds and embracing what is. So spending that time and being intentional with that time of what am I doing? How am I nourishing myself? And how am I utilizing this time to reflect? So the whys are always, again, my mission's been pretty consistent of just like really lifting others to see their highest potential, but also the who's of like my family, my kids, my daughter, my boys, my siblings, even, right? And being able to help the community and in different ways too. So again, coming back to once you have more and more clarity, and this has been so much work, and it continues to grow too, right? Like I just was thinking about a program 5 years ago, and now it's flourished into, right, everything it is, multiple programs and movements, and it's just really amazing, and different events. So yeah, there's a lot to be grateful for, a lot that I've learned. I actually put an email out about the lessons learned, and I'll be putting out like little clips a little bit more into like intimate, like this is what it looked like, because sometimes it gets real fucking messy. Um, so so yeah, that's sort of I've been reading this book. It's Your Home is a Vision Board, and it helped me to actually, it was part of my process of being able to reflect. And yes, I am doing that because I want to create some space in my home, and like I got a new couch, which I fucking love. Anyway, like all the things. But that really helped me in like sort of organizing my thoughts in a different way. So yeah,
Mhm.
you can check that out. But really, it's a gift to give yourself the time to reflect, to release, and then to like realign with like what is truly important to you, not what anybody else says is important to you or how anybody else thinks you should be, but just like what is that to you and why is it important to you. So give yourself that gift of this new year as we celebrate into 2025. Astrologically, 2025 is huge. I am not a guru on any of that. I am told by many of my healers that like, oh boy, this is what's aligning, these are the stars, and this is da da da. I'm like, I don't know that, tell me more. Or come on.
Numerology in 2025 is a number 9, which is the most powerful number, which is all about transformation and manifestation. And
Yeah, yeah, there we go. There we go. So let's get to be intentional with what you're manifesting, people.
yeah, be mindful.
Be mindful. So we would love to know any tips or tricks that you guys have in sustaining, your goals and the whys of your goals, or your intentions ever and up until this year. So thank you for spending this time with us. We did link Rachel Hollis's like "Who Is Your Why." She has a podcast of that. I know that she, like I said, she has a book coming out. I think I said that. I'm not sure. But yeah, so that is something that she continues to inspire. However, controversial people, I don't know. Apparently, she's controversial. So it's like I just pick up to like pieces. Yeah, you can have that. But yeah, so that's we have that linked, and if you want to join the Launch into Your 2025 VIP, or not VIP, I'm sorry, virtual retreat that is on the 11th. It's on January 11th at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We'll be there for 4 hours and just being able to explore what you have learned, the lessons learned, what you want to keep, what you want to release, and how you want to realign for 2025. I'll put that in the show notes as well. So I hope to see you there. And yeah, we're excited to hear from you. We always love, love, love the feedback that you guys give, whether it's critical, even if it's critical. We're just like, oh yeah, we could totally use that.
We're open. We're open.
Oh, absolutely. So we are here wishing you all a completely fulfilled 2025 that is divinely aligned with you and your spirit and where you want your life to be and to go and align with your highest self. So we are here cheering you on. What's in spirit and literally in some cases. So just yeah, wishing you all the most beautiful year ahead, and thank you for being part of our journey, and thank you for listening and sharing with your friends whatever resonates with you, and we look forward to continuing this in 2025. So until next time, shine your light, just live your legacy, really embrace your most authentic wild self. So sending so much love and love. Mwah.
Yeah.